People in mass media can't stop themselves from beclowning themselves completely whenever it comes to the GameStop story. Latest edition is Jimmy Kimmel, who unironically said that Russians might have been behind the GameStop rally on Wall Street. Let's take a listen.
GameStop, if you don't know, it's a video game store. And like a lot of businesses, they've been struggling because of COVID, but also because most people buy games online now. And yet, despite a sharp decline in sales, over the past 6 months, their stock price has grown by 8,000% because a bunch of amateur investors, maybe even some Russian disruptors who are part of a Reddit community called Wall Street Bets, decided to buy a bunch of GameStop stock.
Oh, man. Wait, that's the thing. It's like when I told you about it, you're like, is he joking? I was like, no. It was serious. And as you can see, he was totally serious. Where did they
wasn't part of the routine. He was like really honestly throwing that in. Who was the other person? We saw somebody else.
On CNBC. Yeah, it was on CNBC.
CNBC has been a gold mine of these type of clips. But I mean, they've tried everything. They've like tried smearing the people who are on Reddit. You know, their language is hateful, et cetera, et cetera. We have to take down their Discord server. They've tried like this sort of patronizing approach of, we're just worried about them. And we don't want these retail investors who really don't understand what's going on here in this big, complicated financial game. We don't want them to get hurt. This is all for their best interests. And then we have also seen things like this floated of like, this isn't even actually a real thing happening. It's all the Russians, because you can blame literally anything apparently on the Russians and be taken seriously. Remember when this reminds me kind of like of when Hillary Clinton floated that maybe Donald Trump was on the phone with Vladimir Putin during on
January 6th.
Like, what? How can you just like randomly float these insane things and still be taken seriously? But apparently you can.
Yeah, it's the brainworm of all brainworms. Like, I don't know where it comes from. It's completely and utterly insane. And then, it was just like, and Kimmel stood by it too. I mean, he stood by a lot of this in terms of the criticism of his monologue. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen on this entire story. So many people are just completely missing the point. But luckily, we do know that Robinhood's CEO, I can't pronounce his name, will be appearing later this month. Let's put this up there on the screen before the House Financial Services Committee on February 18th. He's got a lot of questions to answer, Krystal, because what's so crazy about this is it's come out now that one of the reasons that Robinhood stopped trading on GameStop stock and others was because of their capital requirements. He was literally asked point blank by Andrew Ross Sorkin on the day that happened. They were like, do you have a liquidity problem? He said, no, we don't have a liquidity problem. Since then, he's raised $3 billion. So I'm like, okay, it sounds like you had a huge liquidity problem. And in order to comply with some regulations, and because of the people that you were using, you needed to stop trading on the stock. If they had just been honest about that, this entire story looks different. And we really need to find out like why. I mean, he basically lied on national television for literally no apparent reason, or maybe there is a reason. And that's why it's a good thing that he's getting called before Congress.
Well, here's what's so sketchy about it. Who are they raising money from?
Yeah.
A lot of it is hedge funds who need to cover their short positions. Mm-hmm. And so to me, it was, let's just say, incredibly shady that at the same time that they shut down the ability to buy the stock, not to sell it, you can still sell it, but to buy the stock. And even I saw some indications that they were selling people's positions without them wanting them to, at the same time that they're taking in billions of dollars in new capital from these hedge funds. Almost seems like you could imagine maybe a condition of receiving that money was some of that decision making. But even if you put Robinhood aside, and even if you give them the benefit of the doubt, how they were just facing this like liquidity issue and they didn't know how to deal with it, and they're just like in over their heads, like every other major trading platform did the same thing.
Yes.
So did they all have this sudden, at the same time, synchronized massive liquidity issue? That sort of defies logic if you really think that through. One other thing on the House Financial Services Committee that's really important is we used to have someone on that committee last Congress who was phenomenal at questioning CEOs like, potentially here the Robinhood dude, which is Katie Porter. Mm-hmm. And she was taken off of this committee, and David Dayen did all the reporting on this, our friend over at the American Prospect. It seems like at Maxine Waters' request, she and Katie Porter had asked to be put back on the committee, and she was the only person. They had room on the committee. They've actually shrunk the size of the committee for no apparent reason, had room on the committee. She's the only person whose request was denied who's not on another one of these exclusive select committees. So why, when she was so effective at holding these people's feet to the fire, I don't know. It's not a good look, but it's a real loss at a moment like this that you're not going to have someone who's been as effective as she has been in a position to ask these questions.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. What a ridiculous situation.
All right, guys, the snow is still falling right at this moment, but I highly suspect that the roads will be cleared enough for us to get back into the studio tomorrow. Thanks for bearing with us these past 2 days. We always appreciate you guys.
See you guys.